I'd love to hear a bit more from Amber or your other pro friends about pro racing.
The GC and domestique roles are very different, but I would say that they are both actually very team oriented. And in either case, you're still controlling your controllables. So there's a lot of things in a race that you have no control over, and you really just have to let those go and do the best you can with what is within your control, whether you're a domestique or a GC leader. So the reason these are both team oriented is obviously when you're on a team, the goal is to get that team jersey on the podium. And it doesn't matter who is wearing the jersey. You just want somebody on your team on the podium. And when you're doing a GC stage race, usually you do have at least one, and sometimes in some cases two protected riders throughout the stage race, because it stage races are really long and really hard. So it's hard to protect more than one rider. And usually it's very, very clear on the team who's in the best form, who's going to have the best shot at that. And that becomes your GC leader. But I've been in both positions. So as the domestique, it is really fun because you are working with the whole team to protect this rider. But even when you are the protected rider, you are still, everything that you do is either contributing to or detracting from the work that your teammates are doing. So if you are not putting yourself in good position and you're making your teammates do more work for you, that's part of your role as the leader, is to accept the work that's being done on your behalf, but to make the work easier on your teammates by being where you need to be, by fueling yourself really well. Like if you're not eating and your whole team is sacrificing to get you to the base of the climb fresh, and then you bonk on the climb, like that's not very good teamwork. So it's really, in both roles, there's a lot of teamwork. And I will say that being in the leader role, it feels like a lot of pressure on the one hand, because you're looking around, you're going, oh my gosh, look at all of the work that my teammates are doing for me. And they're doing all of this work so that I can get a result, knowing that they are not going to get a result in this stage or in this in the race overall. And that can feel like a lot of pressure. But the thing that balances that out is there's this really amazing positive component to it, that seeing the work that your teammates are doing, it like gives you superpowers. You are suddenly capable of so much more than you ever believed you were, because you can see all of the work that they're doing. It is so inspiring that you will dig deep to levels that you didn't even know were there in order to deliver for your team. And it's this really beautiful synergy that happens. I think I've said it before, and I'll just repeat myself a little bit here in case nobody else heard it, but the basis of the term sacrifice is a Latin word, and I forget exactly what the word was, but it means to make sacred. And so when you win because your team was sacrificing for you, the win feels sacred. And it feels sacred not only to you as the person who's standing on the podium, but also to the rest of the team. And I can say that being one of those other people on the team who's not on the podium, but also being the person who's on the podium, from both positions, it feels like a sacred effort. And the result is sacred as a result. The race result feels sacred as a result of all of the work and sacrifice that went into it as a team. So I wouldn't say either role is more or less team oriented. And as far as having things within your control, as a domestique, your job is to put your team leader in a position to win. And as the GC leader, your job is to make the best use of the team to put yourself in a position to win. So what does that look like? As a domestique, we'll just take kind of a climbing stage as a good example. The team and the domestiques are going to be all about delivering their climber to the base of the climb as fresh as possible. And maybe they have a climber or two who are going to go with that person on the climb for at least part of the way to try to help them manage attacks and tactics from other teams. So that's putting your leader in the position to win. But as the leader, again, your job is to put yourself in a position to win. So making the best use of the work that your teammates are doing, fueling yourself well, putting yourself in a good position on the climb, and responding tactically in a sound way to what's happening within the race. Those are all things that you as a leader need to do to put yourself in a position to win. And that's really, at the end of the day, the best that any of us can do, is to put yourself in a position to win. And then once you do that, to try to execute and make it happen at the finish line. Again, there are a lot of things that are not within your control, and you have to let those things go. But the thing that's within everyone's control is to put yourself in the position to get a result. And that's really what we're all aiming to do.
Do you enjoy being a domestique or a leader more?
It really depended. There were some times where I accidentally ended up the leader. Like I was the domestique in the race, and then I accidentally got into the break that stuck. And then you're like, oh, I really need to switch my mindset now. So, and that was really hard. That was really hard. But I would say that if you go into the race with the particular mindset, either way is really fun. It is an amazing feeling to see your teammates working for you and to be able to deliver. It's a lot harder if you don't end up delivering, which does happen. But I really liked both. I was more often in the role of domestique. That was really the crux of my strengths. And I loved that role. It's in either case, it's really a lot of fun to be on a team that works really well together, where everyone sees how much each person contributes. Everyone steps up and gives 100%. You can trust every single person, that even if they're having an off day, you know that they're giving everything that they have. That kind of chemistry is really amazing. And to be a part of it in any way is pretty special. I had a teammate, Claudia Heusler, one year, who we were racing in Netherlands, and I was really struggling. It was pretty early on after I started racing full time in Europe, and she was amazing. She actually, talk about teamwork, she parked herself behind me in the race, and she would just point to these tiny little holes. Like she would be like, squeeze in there. You should go up in that, move into that space, move into that space. And I'm like, what space? That is not a space. What are you talking about? And she's like, nope, just do it. And she was so firm with me. She's like, move there, do this, do that, go right, go left. And so it was almost like she was operating this little robot. And I just trusted her and was like, okay, that does not look like space to me, but I am going to squeeze through there. And I would move into this space that would just kind of magically open up. And it was mind boggling, because it was like, wow, I never in a million years would have felt that I could move into this spot safely. But having her behind me and teaching me that, it really transformed how I positioned in the field. And that completely revamped how I felt about racing in the Netherlands. But that was one that I really, really struggled with, I will say. And I will also say, culturally, it's super fun to race in Europe. I'll say especially Italy. The fans love cycling. People just love cycling. And it's so much more well known in like popular culture that yeah, you get big crowds, and people, it's so fun to share the love of the bike. It's so fun to share that with people. And that part was really fun.
In races, would you watch out for like certain riders or certain teams to do, like when you hit crosswinds, right? Like you'd, in a Worlds, you'd wait for all the orange flurry to come by you, right? Like,
Yes.
like in certain situations, are you like expecting a reaction and almost like set yourself up for that?
Yeah. Usually what we would do is we do a lot of course recon. So if we weren't able to drive the course, you look at a map and you check to see what the weather is going to be. And you look for those sections of the race course where the wind is perpendicular to the, to the race course. And you know that those are the places you have to already be in position by the time you get there. Because if you're in the race and you see one of those Dutch teams organizing, moving to the front to echelon, it's too late. You're done. Like it is, you can't react fast enough because you're so good at executing. And so you really have to plan ahead and know exactly, okay, we're going to make this right turn. It's going to be, an 8K section of crosswinds. I need to be at the front of the race before we make this turn, because somebody is, if it's not our team, it's going to be another team that's going to be organizing, or our team will organize it. You really have to anticipate, because it happens really fast. And the second that it happens, if you are not in a draft in a rotating echelon, you are toast.